I do have a background in all those subjects to be a military pilot. That was helpful. I think the requirements are a little bit different.
Okay.
But overall, if you can learn a subject, whether it's chemistry, geometry, or a language, that same focus has to be spent on learning your airplane.
Yeah.
How does it work? How do I fly it?
Okay. So do different brands of aircraft here react different to different commands? Or?
No, the principles are generally pretty much the same.
Sure.
Airplanes fly because the wings generate lift.
Okay. Lift, thrust, and all that.
There you go. Lift is the opposite of weight, basically. So if my airplane weighs 2,000 pounds, if I'm generating 1,000 pounds of lift, it's not going to get off the runway because the weight is more than the lift. If I'm generating 2,050 pounds on a 2,000 pound airplane, it'll lift. It'll get off the ground.
So it means when you're descending down, what do you use? You use the weight? Is
you can slow down. You can change the angle of attack. I'm throwing some terms out here that aren't to students, but there's different ways. You can have more drag on your airplane by putting in a drag device like what we call a speed brake.
Okay.
But you have to decrease your lift. Otherwise, you'll never descend.
Okay, you have just decreased the lift.
Yes.
Wow, that's so interesting. I already feel like I'm in a cockpit. Yeah.
Interesting.
So interesting.
I have a very good question, which is a very big concern to mostly the parents to these kids who aspire to become pilots. What does the cost look like for one to go through the flight school to the point that now they have is it called a flight license, a flight permit, something like that? What's the cost like?
Yeah, the cost is similar to what you would pay to get a university degree. If you were going to study 4 years at a university, that's a very similar cost. So it's expensive for sure. If you can go in the military, again, you explained already, Jackson, that the Uganda system is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I went through the Air Force, and so the Air Force paid for my training, all of it.
Wow.
But then I was committed to serve in the Air Force for 8 years.
Like a give back.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Impressive.
I couldn't get out. I had to stay in the Air Force. And I enjoyed that, so it wasn't a problem. The folks who don't go to the military school, if they go to a civilian school, they have formal programs where it's like, hey, this is a 2-year program, and all we're going to do, we're going to eat, drink, sleep, flying. Or some people kind of take their time and they go a little bit at a time. They might work at an airport where they're pumping gas. They might wash airplanes. They might unload the planes with the bags. They'll take the bags off to get a little bit of money, and then they'll spend that money on flight lessons.
Wow.
So it takes longer then, of course. It can take years to get the amount of experience and hours you need to get your certificates. And just very quickly on the certificates, Jackson, you asked about that. There's a rating for a general pilot who's safe to fly the airplane. But then there's what's called an instrument rating, and that's a pilot who has learned to read the instruments so you can go in clouds, you can go in fog, you don't see anything outside.
You're relying on instruments for visibility.
Exactly. And that takes a lot of extra training, and so that's a special rating. And then after that, you become a commercial pilot, which you've proven that you're skilled enough where you can hire yourself. You can take money to do the job and to be a professional pilot. And then ultimately, the final rating is a airline transport pilot, and that's flying the larger airplanes, like Ugandan Air or KLM or whatever.
Thanks. Those are really, really good answers. In conclusion, Tabs May.
Yeah, I'm last. I'm last for sure. Because there is no guesswork there. You have to be sure, 100%.
Yeah.
You have to be sure of what you're doing to fly an aircraft. Well, that's so interesting. And now I want to drive this a little bit to Faith. Are you guys ready for it? Because I want to drive this topic to our faith. As a Christian, do you feel that this is a calling to be a pilot? How?
Yeah, that's a good question. Also, there are certain organizations that are Christian organizations that fly airplanes.
Sure.
Mission Aviation Fellowship. Those men and women are pilots who fly into remote areas to provide medical services. They bring missionaries to and fro. They can bring equipment and supplies into people who are needing of them. It's a great ministry. As far as just in general, though, I'd say that aviation is like any other job or career in that when you're doing the best that you can, you are making a favorable impression on people. You always want to have people say, hey, I enjoy being around that person. And so I get to spend in the cockpit hours and hours and hours with the same person.
The same person, the co-pilot?
Yeah, the co-pilot. Yeah. And then I might not see that co-pilot again for 6 months.
Sure.
Because we have many, many co-pilots. And so you get intense time with people. And so you get to listen to their stories. You can ask them questions. Sometimes we talk about faith if they're interested in that. If they're not, then I owe it to them out of respect to not force the subject, particularly as a captain, because I'm responsible for everything that happens on the airplane. It's just not a good idea to say, look, co-pilot, this is what we're going to talk about because I'm the captain.
They might be uncomfortable.
Yes. And I'm counting on that co-pilot to do his or her job well. And if I have put up a barrier because I haven't been sensitive to them as a person, then they're not going to be able to provide me all I need from them as a co-pilot.
Wow. That's really interesting. Thank you for joining us, Scott, again. Now, my very, very last question. I don't know. I'm going to ask you the very last question, and he is going to ask you again his very last question. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds
now,
good.
what I'm saying is that when you are 35,000 feet in the air, looking down Earth, what does this bring to your mind?
Yeah, that's my favorite question. I saw it on the board earlier. I'm like, yes. It is exciting to be in an airplane at 35,000 feet, that's like 6 miles up in the air, 6 to 7 miles.
67 miles above the ground.
6 or 7, straight up, and you're looking down, and you can see all kinds of things, the perspective that you have. You can see that there's a storm over here and really great weather over here. There might be an airport that's just totally blanketed in fog, and the people down there are saying, what a lousy day it is today because there's no sunshine. And I'm thinking, I can see the sun just fine. It's a great day.
Sure.
So it kind of reminds me that God's perspective is so much higher than our perspective.
That's impressive.
God sees things that we don't see, and like, oh, this is a terrible thing. And God says, you know what? Actually, I've got my hand on this, and something good's coming.
Wow. Now, Mr. Jackson, you might be having the very last question.
If you were to go back to your teenage days and you were given an opportunity to choose a career, would you choose piloting?
It's interesting. When I was in high school, I didn't have a desire to be a pilot.
Oh.
So I only got that when I was at the university. The other thing that I was interested in was teaching.
Wow.
And so that would be something, I guess, if I couldn't be a pilot, I'd love to be a teacher.
Wow.
And I still get to, in a way, when I teach the Word of God, when I get a chance to visit churches or youth groups. Sometimes I'll share some things that I've learned through my career in aviation and how that applies to the spiritual life and the spiritual world that we're in. And I love talking to young people about that.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow, that's so interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, because of time, we're going to be ending here. But don't forget to subscribe and share the content and follow our TikTok account at A Plus Podcast Studio. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are saying bye-bye for now, but it's not the last podcast. Keep keep following and stay tuned. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying bye-bye, and everyone here is going to say a bye word. Let me call it a bye word. Yeah.
It's been a privilege, and may the Lord bless y'all.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Baby, ngonyimide mu kawuniyo kanesiimya kujje mu tawuni abatesi mu ndege nze mpisewo omunyago kanyabonga onyimide ebyambalo